Hello, this is Thea again. I am putting out a video that was created by Graham from Kraken Vinyl. It is his 10th anniversary of putting out videos. I know I don't do this very often, but these vinyl tags are a lot of fun, and I couldn't resist this 1980s tag. So I hope you enjoy it. The first question that Graham asked was, which 80s song had the best video? I've been thinking about that. I mean, MTV started in 1981, I believe it was, and I, as a kid, was riveted to it. Grew up poor, didn't have cable, so anytime I wanted to watch music videos, it would have to be on like Friday Night Videos or America's Top 10 on Saturday morning to see the top 10 videos, um, or like I would have to go over a relative or a friend's house who had MTV. So that's where I got to watch all of the MTV once I found a TV that had cable and MTV, I was glued to it. There were so many videos. It's almost an impossible thing to say the best video. It depends on what you're looking for, uh, whether it be done by George Lucas and it's movie, top grade studio quality, or is it the top photographers? Is it Spike Jones? Is it whoever the directors are? Um, this is just going to be my personal favorites. There's too many for people to argue to say, well, the quality of this song with this image is the best, and you're whatever. It's subjective. And at the time, my favorite videos would have been whatever was great video at the time. So I can, off the top of my head, probably name a million great videos. This I have thought about, and in retrospect, from 2026, I'm going to go back and say my favorite videos of the 80s. I was torn between two, and one was the Dead Milkmen, Punk Rock Girl. I love that video. It's hilarious. Um, and then the other one would have been just the most simple. A lot of people probably won't appreciate this, but I love this video. I think this is the best video of all time, seriously, just because I could relate to the sentiment of the band, and that would be the Minutemen's This Ain't No Picnic. In my opinion, the best video, probably of all time, but definitely of the 80s, is This Ain't No Picnic. These guys going, this ain't no picnic, because it's screaming at the authority, at the sky, and then just being blown up and left in the dust. That's all of us. So that's why the Minutemen, This Ain't No Picnic, in my opinion, is the best video of the 80s and probably forever. I'll probably try and get a clip and put it in right here. If I can't do that, I apologize. It probably has something to do with copyright. So that was the first. The second was show an album released in 1983. I bought this in 1983. This is a band called Fastway. Fast Eddie Clarke from Motorhead. This guy right here. I don't know if you can see him. This is his side project. This is from 1983, I believe. Yes, that's what the question asked for. And there was, I think I probably heard this first on the radio. The songs that came out of here were Easy Living, We Become One, Say What You Will. This, if people aren't familiar with this people might say would sound a lot like Guns N' Roses, long before Guns N' Roses came around. The lead singer, he was a kid at the time, David King. He was a pretty phenomenal voice. And I think it's a great rock and roll hard rock album from 1983, Fastway. Show a 12-inch record single. So it's a 12-inch single. I picked this up recently. Victoria, The Fall. If you watch this, you could find this on YouTube, the video for it. It's a Kinks song. It's a cover. This sounds so much better. Like, even though the video is fun, the quality of the sound from the video is so inferior. It takes away any of the quality out of the song. when you hear it on this is the back of it. When you hear it on this, it is so superb. The production and the mixing and everything. It's a great 12-inch single. And this one is from 1988, I believe. Yes, January 1988. Victoria, the fall. A one-hit wonder. I don't believe this band had more than one hit. As far as I know, they're a one-hit wonder, and that is Animotion Obsession. If anybody remembers the video, they're dressed up in various costumes of great lovers, and it's very cheesy but a lot of fun and very 80s. Show a record by your favorite 80s artist. That is impossible. I racked my head what could be my favorite 80s artist. Most of the 80s artists that I could think of actually started in the 1970s. So I had to think, well, which one started in the 80s and had the greatest impact on me? There's so many bands that started in the 80s that were amazing. You think REM and Metallica and whoever. Like, there's so many off the top of your head that started in the 80s. But what my favorite is and that had the most impact on me would have been the Plasmatics. And this album is my absolute favorite by them. Coup d'etat. Wendy O. Williams was she was an animals activist. She was a person that had a strong will of her own. She was a fighter. She got into all kinds of trouble. Really interesting person. And this is a fabulous album. This is one of their best. An 80s dance floor banger. This cannot be denied. You could put this on today and it still gets people on the dance floor. And this is Kiss by Prince. This is a timeless song and a complete banger. Undeniably. No matter what year you're dealing with. Which album cover is the most 80s? Now, the first thing off the top of my head was like Rio Duran Duran. I think somebody showed that in one of their videos when they did it. That's like the idea of 80s art on a cover that you would think of. This actually, I think, beats Rio when it comes to 80s style artwork. And this is Gene Loves Jezebel, Promises. I mean, you see all the squiggly lines, the artwork. This album came out in 1983. Promise. Let's see. This is the label. And this is the most 80s album cover that I have. Undeniably 80s. At least when I think of the 80s, that's what comes into mind. Show a record by your favorite act at Live Aid. Now, I was thinking about this. I got confused because there was the US Festival, and there was Farm Aid, and there was Live Aid, and there was the We Are the World, whatever that was called. And I was trying to remember, all right, Bob Geldof, Do They Know It's Christmas? It was that one. And I remember that it was Wembley Stadium, and then I think Philadelphia. So it's two concerts. And again, I didn't have MTV, so if I'd have to go to a friend's house to see any clips of it. But I do remember it being simulcast on the radio. I remember being with my mom in the car, and we had the radio on, and the radio station played it as it was going on. And I also remember that being very surprised that Queen, because Queen, at least in the US, hadn't had a hit in years, and nobody even thought about them. They thought they were sort of retired as a band. And then they did that, and that was truly their comeback. They were so phenomenal. Freddie Mercury's voice was so strong. It was really impressive, and it was like, Queen has come back. But me, I wasn't looking forward to Queen. I really was looking forward to seeing Judas Priest. I was a huge Judas Priest fan. Now this particular album I'm going to show is, I think, originally from the 70s, but the song that they did was done at Live Aid, and it is the Green Manalishi with a two-pronged crown, which is a Fleetwood Mac song. Love the version on this, Unleashed in the East, but this is to do with Live Aid, and they did perform that song, and that's what I was looking forward to the most, and they did do it, and they did a fabulous performance of it. Let's see. Show a band with big hair. Well, these guys undeniably have huge hair. This particular photograph is from Too Fast for Love. This is Motley Crue. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of hairspray, a lot of teasing. This is the album this is the insert for this album. This is their first album, Too Fast for Love. It's one of my favorite albums by them, and they definitely had all the hair. Favorite cover song? Joan Jett, Do You Want to Touch Me? Oh yeah. This is an amazing cover of a Gary Glitter song. Gary Glitter can go rot, but Joan Jett rocks. And her version is a billion times better than his ever was. And this is my favorite cover of any song from the 80s. Well, the song was from the 70s, but this cover was done in the 80s. Okay. A forgotten gem. Now, for a long time, this was a forgotten gem. Lately, I've been seeing videos of people doing reaction videos to this song. But when it first came out, fell in love with it. It's such a phenomenal song. Michael McDonald, I Keep Forgetting. And this is a soulful, very passionate song. The video is a little cheesy. He's from the Doobie Brothers. He did a solo album. This is such a great song. And although I have seen some people recently been paying attention to it, I think for a long time it was forgotten. So if you forgot the song, listen to it again, enjoy it. It takes you away. You really are enveloped by the soulfulness. It's a great, great song. Which two artists do you wish had collaborated? Well, this woman, Pat Benatar, definitely an 80s artist. Well, she started in the late 70s, but this is an 80s album. This particular album came out in 1980 exactly. And she does a cover of, sorry, my brain just went dead, Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights. And she is a trained opera singer initially, and she uses all of that range in her rock and roll voice. But the cover of Wuthering Heights is phenomenal. It's amazing. And it has a harder guitar edge to it. So I always thought I would love to hear, as a collaboration, Kate Bush, the originator of Wuthering Heights, to actually sing Wuthering Heights with Pat Benatar. And I always thought that would be an amazing collaboration. The two of their voices together, the original artist, the cover artist, working together to hit those peaks of that emotional song. It's just, I think, would be a great thing. Let's see. So we're going to go on to 13. Time Machine. Which act would you wish you can go back and see live? I wish I can get into a time machine, even though this band's still around. I would love to see them in 1987. And that is The Cure. Maybe for this album, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, and anything prior to that. I would love to go into a time machine and just see them live. I'd love to see them now, but I'd like to go back to 1987 and see them. A synth pop record. Depeche Mode, Never Let Me Down Again. This particular 12-inch single is from 1987. Okay. A song from a movie. I love this song so much. This is from the movie Cat People. This is David Bowie, Putting Out Fire with Gasoline, produced by Giorgio Moroder. I don't know if you remember the movie. I think it had Malcolm McDowell, and it was a remake of the 1940 classic film Cat People. This song makes me think, it always reminds me that Bauhaus, really, because it reminds me of Bauhaus for some reason, even though it's David Bowie, and it seems like this is why Bauhaus loves David Bowie. Songs like Cat People. Your hairbrush song. So I imagine this means when you're getting dressed in the morning, ready to go to school, you're brushing your hair, you're styling your hair, and the radio is on, and this is the song that you're singing along to while you're fixing your hair. And that song would have been, because this was played on the radio a lot during this time, and that's In My House, the Mary Jane Girls. It's a very great poppy song, very catchy. I don't know if you remember the Mary Jane Girls, but they would wear they were one of the first girly pop bands that there were three of them. They were singers, and they would wear lingerie. Rick James was their producer, manager. He dealt with them, probably wrote their music. So yeah, the Mary Jane Girls. An urban record, hip hop, soul, dance, or house. Well, first thing I came up with was Run DMC. It's Tricky. The backside is Proud to be Black. This, I think, is from '87. It's a catchy song. And the other one that I chose another one just in case. Just, it doesn't hurt to have an extra one. I don't know if everybody remembers this. My Prerogative, Bobby Brown. This is the late 80s. I think it was 88, around the same time. This is the back. He was in a pop band, and he went off on his own, and that was a huge hit for him. Who would you like to see make a comeback? I was trying to think. So many bands from the 80s have made comebacks. They've had reunion tours. It was hard to pick one. If I'm not mistaken, and I didn't look this up, I should have, I don't think this band has made a big comeback. And it was a band that had a lot of hits and a lot of great singles, and that was The Fix. They had so many. This is from their first album, Reach the Beach. This one thing leads to another. This is the back. Saved by Zero, Red Skies Tonight. This is just a fun song. I remember, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was maybe at a Live Aid. The singer from this may have performed at Live Aid with Tina Turner. I could be mistaken about that. But yeah, I think the singer retired and went into the fashion industry. I think I saw that on like a VH1 special. But yeah, The Fix. I'd love to see them get back together if it's possible and create new music and make big hits again, because there's so many of their songs were great hits. An album you would jam in your Walkman. Now, I didn't have a Walkman. I didn't get a Walkman until the 90s when we're talking about the cassette Walkman. What I had was a boombox. Now, what I can tell you is when I finally got a cassette Walkman in the early 90s, I would have gotten it from a thrift store or something, and that tape would have been a mixtape of Alice in Chains, Facelift, and Dirt that I would have listened to on a loop. And of course, the tape was never long enough, so some songs are cut off. But that was my Walkman story. In the 80s, though, what I had was a pink boombox. And we would carry the boombox with us to the strip of stores and walk around and blast Venom, Manowar, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica. And so this would be the tape that would have been in my boombox. Kill 'Em All, Metallica. Play it on a loop over and over again. Definitely Metallica was such a huge influence for everybody. But yeah, this is what I would have been listening to with our friends over and over again on our boombox. Not the Walkman, because I didn't have one, but definitely our boombox. And then the last one, the last number 20, is Your 80s Crush. Okay, so early 1980s, teenager, moved schools. I was a huge Iron Maiden fan, and I always loved Clive Burr from Iron Maiden. He was the drummer. Let me show you what he looked like. Unfortunately, Clive Burr's passed away, but this is him. I loved him so much that I had a Clive Burr button that I would wear on my denim jacket every day. And lo and behold, I get to the school and there's a student that looks just like Clive Burr. I couldn't believe it, except he was like 14 or 15 years old. And I would just call him Clive Burr, and wound up, the irony was a good friend of mine wound up dating him, and I was like, you're dating Clive Burr. So I had a big crush on Clive Burr, but I'm also going to show what anybody in their right mind can appreciate, and that is from INXS, Michael Hutchence. I don't care what gender you are, what sexuality you are, everyone can acknowledge that Michael Hutchence was a beautiful man. And of course, he'd be a crush for anybody and everybody. And that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope it was interesting. I hope it brought back memories for yourself. And I want to thank Graham for creating this list. It was a lot of fun, and I appreciate being able to jump in on his 10th anniversary. Cheers, Graham.